Hey everybody, it's Tyler from The Proof is in the Concept here with an all-new podcast. I'm going to be the host of it, and I'm going to be bringing an assortment of colorful characters, and we're going to be taking on different topics presented by the guests and myself. We're all going to bring one topic every time we get together for the podcast. It's an interesting podcast model. It's been made very popular by a lot of different podcasts, such as the Kind of Funny podcast, the Game Over, Greggy Show, from the Kind of Funny guys. We're doing it because we all love games, and today specifically we're going to be focusing mostly on gaming. Other days we might do other topics, but just based on the people that I had with me today, I have Tobias.
Hello.
And I have James Nolan.
Hello.
Yes, he and Tobias do a lot of our RPGs together, and all of us are big fans of tabletop gaming. And so we were specifically talking about tabletop gaming, and we might delve a little bit into some video game stuff today. Tobias, you didn't really seem to have a backup topic, but
yeah.
You got a good one.
I think so.
All right, let's get it rolling then.
So mine, it's a little more out there. It's a little less definitive, or there's a correct answer or a right answer. Kind of just want to see what you guys are looking at and what guys are looking for. Yeah. So my topic is, why do you think it is that when it comes to specifically tabletop role-playing,
right,
the only one normal people know about is Dungeons and Dragons? And then as an extension of that, why is the RPG market kind of oversaturated with fantasy role-playing games, and there haven't been as many popular or well-established ones of other genres?
Well, first of all, I don't think you can talk about Dungeons and Dragons without talking about legacy. They're a legacy company, kind of like Nintendo with video games. Like, if you ask a grown-up, somebody in their 40s or 50s, and say if you say video games, they'll say Nintendo. It's like one of those things. And I think Dungeons and Dragons, for a lot of people, is because it's as old as it is.
It is literally invented the genre.
Right, and it's
also invented hit points.
I mean, it's ubiquitous. It's ubiquitous,
Thank God for that.
Thank God for hit points. But yeah, so it's ubiquitous. It has the legacy, and I think the other part of it is because of the infamy along with it. It's just how easily people get mocked for it, or have historically in pop culture. I mean, you see a swinging of people coming around to role-playing games, and I think part of the reason why people are swinging around to role-playing games is the increase in alternative role-playing games. As far as the fantasy thing, though, I think people want a part of it's just escapism. Nobody wants to have a role-playing game where you're a completely normal person.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I don't know. For me, I think that's probably where the fantasy role-playing stuff comes into play. How about you, Nolan? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think tabletop games and RPG games in general haven't been able to take hold as much as video games, so I think people are just maybe a little bit more afraid of getting into them because there is a little bit more work you need to put in to understand what you're doing.
Right.
You really need to be introduced to tabletop games by someone else, whereas a video game, you can have a tutorial built right into the program. But
Right. But do you think part of that also too is coming from have tabletop role playing games had a Call of Duty, where it's with Call of Duty, it's you're not a gamer necessarily, but you play Madden and Call of Duty on your Xbox. But you're just a guy who happens to play a few games. You're not necessarily a gamer. And maybe think about tabletop playing games because they require so much investment.
you can't really be a casual.
Right. Yeah, it's harder to be casual.
My answer to that question would be apples to apples, Guardians of Humanity.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
those are
sure,
social party.
Right. Yeah, those are social tabletop games. But I'm talking about as far as RPGs are concerned,
come up with a character
Right.
specific to yourself, and
yeah, there's
more work.
Yeah.
maybe Descent or something would be considered the more
It is
pick
more
up and
accessible,
play
Right.
version of
Yeah.
I've been thinking about doing some more stuff with Descent. I actually want to get good at using their map maker on the internet, and I actually want to make more sort of character-driven stuff with Descent. That's my only qualm with Descent is the characters only have 2 paragraphs about them in the back of the book.
Yeah.
The characters are just kind of there to play out the the fun and awesome game with a interesting story.
My whole thing about Descent is like, how hard would it be for Fantasy Flight, who publishes Descent, to get a license that would like come with characters like you know, like they're doing it with this new Star Wars miniatures game they're doing, but like how hard would it be to get Wizards of the Coast have an agreement for with who's publishing D&D Attack Wing? Do you know?
I think it's through Hasbro.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it might be hard to get like D&D with as rich of a legacy as theirs, but like I don't know, maybe like a Game of Thrones miniature game. They have the Game of Thrones license for the other Game of Thrones board game, but maybe I mean just repurposing some characters into them.
They have made a Game of Thrones RPG, and then they have made a board game.
Yeah.
I haven't really taken a look at the rules.
I think
for
there's
the
two
RPG.
different board games and a card game.
And from what I hear, both of the board games are like humongous.
Yeah,
like,
they're
just
both like
gigantic and
like you know.
Oh yeah, you can't just
The big broad scope that is Game of Thrones.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Game of Thrones isn't the answer, but maybe for making Descent into like a D&D thing, maybe having customizable characters for Descent would be the thing that would make it like more RPG-ish to the point where you could maybe convert people to the idea of because they have the deck system already. Like you convert people into the bring them around to the idea of creating their own character. You know, so maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's something like there's a lot of stuff there. I mean, because like the only thing is like that they come with their own stats, which you could roll, or you could have a point buy system based on the finite rules of that, and their daily power thing. Yeah. Which I mean, you could have a list by class or something. I mean, it'd be easy enough to do. Maybe customizing those characters could be to use Descent to convert people to tabletop.
I still think Descent as a tabletop game is like hardcore enough to not be like, you know, like a pop game, not be like it's hard enough to just I wouldn't just like feel comfortable taking someone who's never played any tabletop game before and just being like, we're gonna play Descent now.
Right.
Like that's not Descent isn't the first game I played with someone.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I think I'd play Descent with someone before I played D&D with them. Yeah. Like I mean like.
Well, also I think with D&D, especially since it's more freeform and more cooperative, like the list of people who I will play D&D with is like 12. Yeah. There's only like 12 games.
Also, the other thing I was gonna say about D&D, I'm more likely to play D&D for the first time with somebody if it is, any guesses, 4th edition. Oh, I mean, 4th edition for me anyway. Right, it's so streamlined.
It's easier for people who are more familiar with like WoW.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could almost see the MOBA toolbar that you could click. Yeah. Like when you make the character, and like some people hate that. Some people hate that. But for me anyway, it makes it like it fixes my biggest problem with Dungeons and Dragons, which was the fighters not being useful after level 10 compared to a sorcerer. Yeah. Like and then my other thing was as long as like the less time I spend thinking about the rules, the more time I can spend like creating a character and a story. So it's like you know, like if I like it's so easy to become a rules lawyer when you're playing 3rd edition and even AD&D. Like you know, just be like looking through the books for like, well, you know, like, do I have this scenario exactly right? Whereas with like you can look at your daily power breakdown and you could see whether or not you're good to go. Yeah. Like in 2 seconds, and then okay, Tyler's done. And Prudish is back on, like my barbarian. So it's like I'm done being Tyler, figuring out how to do this, and I am Prudish and I'm doing it again. Yeah. It's quick for me, and I think that system, because it's easy enough to use, can get people into actual role playing.
And I think Descent Descent kind of works with that as well, where it has like you have all the little cards and they tell you exactly what they do. Right. They tell you when to do what, and you don't need to like. You don't need to like worry about having a giant manual. You just have like, I have these little tiny cards and they're aesthetically pleasing, and they have all my attacks on them, and you know
the manual's intimidating.
Yeah, the manual is intimidating, and I think one thing though about the Descent thing, I think that not doing the character creation is the other thing that keeps people from taking ownership of the role that they're supposed to be playing. Yeah. You know, it's way easier to encourage role playing when they invent the character.
Yeah.
So if honestly, I know this is kind of not what this topic was about, but if you're gonna convert your friends to role playing games, I think fourth edition Dungeons and Dragons is a great place to start. The other
especially if they are familiar with video games.
Yeah, that's definitely what I would say.
And we have seen a lot of video games sort of based on D&D at this point. So it's like you've got Diablo, you've got Dragon Age is actually the original engine is based off that
D20 system.
Yeah, it's
KOTOR.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the first time I ever played KOTOR, I didn't understand that it was going to be like that because I didn't have an Xbox for a long time. We got an Xbox and we had a bunch of games, and KOTOR just happened to be one of them. And I went to play it, and then I saw the little dice numbers pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the I was like, I didn't know. I was so confused at first, and then I was like, it's actually rolling virtual dice right now. It was so bizarre to me. And I think Dragon Age, especially Dragon Age Inquisition, just added enough polish to that where it didn't feel like it was a little weird a couple times in KOTOR where you're the combat. You're like, am I playing a video game right now? What is even happening?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so I feel like they continued on that. One thing I will say about Dungeons & Dragons video games is the recent announcement of Sword Coast.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that because it's a 4-in-1 player game. But it's not going to be 4v1 necessarily. It's 4-in-1, which I think is...
It really fosters the relationship, which I feel like a healthy dungeon master player character or player party relationship.
Don't want your
it's not exactly. I don't want when we sit down every Thursday to play our game of D&D with Arden and Jared and Kai and Jose. I don't try to kill you.
Right.
Not everything's too far.
Yeah. So what I want is to tell an interesting story and to have you guys have a good time, and for me to have a good time. And so I think having it be a 4-and-1 rather than a 4 versus 1 makes a lot of sense. Also, side note, it's kind of one of some of my qualms with Descent is because I usually play the Overlord in Descent. It's either I get my butt kicked and I die, or I kill all of my friends.
It's pure
Nico. Yeah, and it's just it feels kind of crappy no matter what.
Yeah, honestly,
sometimes.
The only time I ever felt really bad in Descent was that one time where I just blocked the path with the thing and I just ran my goblin.
Yeah, apparently that actually is legal.
Yeah, that is a legal play.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think the biggest disappointment about that for me was that you were like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
You were like, oh, I'm a terrible Overlord right now because I never thought of that. And I was like, I felt that's the only time I really felt like a dick as an Overlord. Yeah. But the thing that was back to Sword Coast real quick. What I was just gonna say is they're really emphasizing the 4-and-1, not 4v1. Yeah. It's you're gonna be able to, maybe buff up a monster. If you're definitely gonna have powers to buff up monsters if the encounter's going too quickly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to make it easy. You're gonna be able to make it easier or harder for them depending on the scenario. And I think that's super cool. The other thing about it is it's PC only. It's gonna be online only and everything. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there.
I'm interested to see how they're gonna play out because I could easily see you playing as the dungeon master just being it'd be a UI. It would just be the interface, and you wouldn't. Do you actually just get to go on the ground level and see the player characters doing things, or is it you sit there on all of your menus and you tinker with all the monsters and you come up with social encounters?
From the screens that I saw of it, it looks like it's kind of the control and everything is kind of Diablo-y.
So you're top down. And
it's kind of top down, top down, but I think it might be that view for everyone.
Okay.
It might be kind of a Diablo view for everyone, which isn't. It's not my favorite view.
But doable.
Yeah, it definitely. I think for this particular thing, it would probably make the most sense. I mean, ultimately, if I could be looking over my character's shoulder, and in the third person, and the DM could be looking at the Diablo view, that would be great. I mean, that would be my favorite game. And I think that we're seeing right now a couple games, I can't think of the name of the good example, but the over-the-shoulder MOBA is a thing right now.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, Thank God. I'm just so, like, thing about MOBAs, right, is that MOBAs became a thing because they're adapted from RTS games.
Yes.
But at no...
Thank you, Blizzard.
Yeah, really, thank you.
Awesome map editors.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We love you. But, like, at no point, if you really think about the way MOBAs work, do they need to be RTSs? And then when people started making... when people started making Dota and League and Heroes of New Earth and stuff like that, like, they all kind of were like, we're going to make, like, our standalone things that we loved about the map editor created games, and nobody stopped to ask themselves, do we need top down? Yeah. Does this need to be top down? Point and click, yeah. Does this need to be top down point and click? And no. Oh my God, no. Yeah. And like, I mean, because seriously, like, because how long has it been since the Xbox 360 came out? How long has it been?
Wasn't that 2008?
2008. Sounds right.
We've had controllers that plug into our computers for that long, and we were still doing point and click for MOBAs. Like, come on, top down point and click.
Convention is so much.
Yeah. So Tobias, to get back to
so I guess in order to sort of redirect.
No, I mean,
I guess I want to talk a little bit more about like genre in role playing games.
Okay.
Because I know I'll include a link to this in the description. There's this awesome flowchart, which it's not super recent, so some more like recent games are not on.
Like 13th Age?
13th Age is on this flowchart. Like the new Star Wars RPGs are not on this flowchart.
You like flowcharts.
But basically, it's just a super elaborate flowchart.
God. Just real quick.
Yeah, you gotta tell this story.
You know my flowchart from the Avengers RPG thing that we posted
a couple weeks
and
ago.
Talked about that. James Nolan played the Hulk in my first run through of the game, and he just
things were off the rails by the first scene.
Oh, first scene, he just destroyed my flowchart. Just wrecked it. Like, oh God, he just did things that I wasn't
removed the middle third.
Yeah,
just like had to skip to the end.
Yeah,
I was disappointed at the end because it was an amazing flowchart. You had right there.
Well, yeah. So I think with the final playthrough of the game, one, we had a great set of people, and two, I had learned from all of my mistakes.
Yeah.
And we were able to like keep the flowchart pretty toy.
Yeah.
Toy like a toy. Yeah. And it came out really well.
Yeah. So Tyler and Nolan have a history with flowcharts.
Yeah. So this flowchart.
This flowchart's on the internet. It's basically which RPG should I play, and so like the first question is like what genre do you want? And they have like a whole bunch of different ones. And then, like, you know, if you go down, like, the superhero ones, like, do you want, like, specifically Marvel or DC, or do you just want generic superhero? And then, like, they have a whole bunch of different questions that will lead you to a bunch of different RPGs. This flowchart also has sort of, like, its tongue very firmly within its cheek, where it is kind of making fun of a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So if you go to, like, to the sci-fi section, it's like, oh, do you want a sci-fi game based on a specific property? And if you say yes, it's like Star Wars, and then there's all the other ones. It's just like if you want literally any other sci-fi game, it says just Google insert name RPG, and like they just tell you to go do that because the only ones.
But it's also
true.
It
is true, but it's like it is. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but the way most of the major RPGs that have been published in sci-fi settings are based on Star Wars.
Right.
And then like there's a part where it's like, oh, just give me the D&D options. Instead of like being like all these different things about fantasy, and then they're like, how do you feel about Gary Gygax? And if you answer like, who's Gary Gygax? They say go play 4th edition, which I understand and it's kind of funny, but like I have a very big problem with that just because I feel like I've sort of like championed the cause of.
If you don't like 4th edition, no, really. All right, so I'm making a voice note to. You made a really good point like a few seconds ago, and I feel like it could be a whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what it was.
I was talking about our
sci-fi RPGs. Why are RPG players more willing to create their own content than any other form of gamer? That's a topic for a whole other day. But
So like through this flowchart, I was able to find and access a bunch more different RPGs than I had like currently played because I did like a high school senior research project on role-playing games, so I'm studying role-playing games at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, so I've like exposed myself to a lot of games over the course of years, but like the only game I've ever played like consistently has been Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And so now we're starting to get into Traveler. Which,
I'm excited about.
Which is we've had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that was so much fun. We played a little bit.
Oh my, you could just like get drunk and make characters all night. Like I mean like you wouldn't even need to.
That's kind of what we did.
We had an absolute blast.
Yeah,
like, what 2 hours?
Yeah. We all made a character and like it
was super fun. But yeah, so I've been getting into that. My friend Arden, who is one of my DMs and also one of my players, he referred me to this flowchart because I was like, oh man, I've really been looking for like a sci-fi RPG. He was like, oh well, let me show you this flowchart. And so then that's how I got referred to Traveler, which I had heard about before because I read this awesome book called Shared Fantasy by a sociologist at Northwestern University, Gary Allen Fine, and it's his sort of like sociological breakdown of RPGs in like the late 80s, early 90s. And so back then, there was D&D was the big one. If you were a little bit more grounded in the realism of historical accuracy in medieval France, you would play Chivalry and Sorcery. But that's a whole other complication because because it was so based in historical realism that if you randomly determined all of your characters' like stats. So like if you rolled into being a female, like people were just like, oh, sorry, you can't do anything because females were like less.
Which is its whole thing.
Yeah.
I think you can just excise things that make the gameplay less fun.
No, exactly. That's how I feel.
I do 1920s Call of Cthulhu, and it's like I'm not messing with sexism, racism, homophobic. It's just I don't feel like that adds too much to the gameplay.
Well, actually, I kind of like because in our Call of Cthulhu game, it started off as an inside joke, but now my character and one of the other players' characters are gay together, but we don't talk about it because it's the 1920s.
Right.
Which I think it started off as this running joke, but now it's actually kind of like this plot point.
Right.
I think it's kind of fun.
That is cool.
But yeah, so
Traveler.
So Traveler was the other big game that people played back in the heyday of RPGs in the 80s and 90s. It's gone through a bunch of different editions, just like D&D has. Also, apparently somewhere people on the internet determined that's what Joss Whedon played when he was in college.
Definitely.
Which is so cool because that's also how we got Firefly. So I had heard about Traveler, but I never really played it, and so now I'm really excited. Now we found some of the stuff, and we've been playing it, and it's really cool. I also just like, it's nice to be able to scratch that sci-fi itch because that's something I've been more interested in lately. But I was just thinking, like, I've looked at some of the other stuff, but I've never really played many of the other games on that flowchart. But like, are there other genres you wish we could play, or like?
Well, one of the things that I've always wanted to do, I've wanted to do this for years now, and I think Traveler might be the system that I can adapt to do it, is I want to make a Bioshock RPG, and I think one of the things about making a Bioshock RPG is that you gotta, two things. Actually, I'm not going to say the other one, because I want to DM you guys an RPG thing, and I can't say this other thing. Without giving away some stuff, but you're gonna need an awesome. You're gonna need an awesome game master.
Oh, yeah.
Because the story for those games is like you have
to establish atmosphere. Atmosphere is like half of Bioshock.
Oh yeah, really. Story and atmosphere, and if I'm not gonna have art direction and music to work with, I'm gonna have to. All of it's gonna be coming from me as a game master. So
you need a Sandra Cohen.
Yeah.
Also, it might be kind of fun, especially if we want to do that as like sort of like a big event. Maybe not do a whole campaign, but just like a single session.
Bunny masks, threadbare suits.
No, this is going to be a
dig
single.
Food out of the trash.
It might be kind of cool to maybe incorporate some soundtrack.
Yeah,
like have music playing in the background. Also get props.
Yeah, when I did props and music for a little bit for.
Oh, another note. We should make a whole video just about using props in role-playing games.
Yeah.
Wrenches.
Yeah. Specifically wrenches. No, I did use props and music a little bit when we did my 1920s Hangover RPG.
That's still the single greatest.
I wish I was
one shot.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's the only.
Okay. I know what you're thinking, but come on, it's still pretty.
I'm trying to say. Okay. As far as the one shots I've played, not the one shots I've run.
Okay.
The number one, I think, is probably that.
Yeah.
And then 2 was our Guardians of the Galaxy allegory.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Which was awesome.
Yeah. And I think, okay, but what I will say about that, yeah, so my 1920s RPG thing, I played parts of the Great Gatsby soundtrack, and I had the suit.
Yeah.
And
Tessa like dressed up. And,
yeah, I had
just drinks.
Yeah, I had my little sister pretend to be a cocktail waitress for me. It was awesome, and I got sparkling cider and had champagne glasses and shit. Like I went full blown, and I came in with I had a fake cigar.
Yeah.
I came in with a fake cigar and like fully RP'd this conversation.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Hank McCloud for the hardest RPs.
No, that was
always brings the hardest RPs.
He does.
So it wasn't even a minute. It was maybe a minute.
Oh, like it was like maybe
a minute and a half of you two talking was the most intense role playing I have ever seen.
Yeah.
In my entire almost 2 decades of playing games.
Yeah, dude. I was just like
there was almost cried but had to laugh because I was so uncomfortable with how real it was.
Yeah, it was nuts. Well, because the thing about it, I think, was like there's always been this part of me, because I like to be a storyteller, is when I used to do improv classes, there was always a part of me where we were like improv scenes and we were always trying to improvise funny stuff.
Oh, yeah, because especially in high school, that's always what you did.
Improv, and I was like, I used to do drama stuff for back when I used to do stuff for Vacation Bible School and crap like that. I do these things and like we'd be telling these humorous stories, and there's part of me that was just like, I want somebody that I can like get up on stage with and just like improv the most deadly serious crap ever. Like when we wrote the few plays that we wrote for in high school, like we wrote the one about becoming obsession that was like just very dark. I wrote the one about the fairy tale serial killer.
That was messed up.
That was super dark.
I would like that script.
Yeah. I can see if I can find it somewhere. And that was like, I mean, like, that was super dark, and I was like, I just like, I think more important than darkness is like intensity, just like intensity, and so yeah, when I got
for some reason, the only thing I can think of is while you're doing is I imagine you and Hank on the theater that was the theater when we were at our high school, not the one they have now.
Yeah.
But you and Hank up there, and you have him by like their shirt collar, like
that.
There's no like dialogue.
That's what I like. Yeah,
I just want that.
Nobody like you know like improvises a lapel grab.
Yeah.
Like I want to improvise a lapel grab, and that like for me a really good intense RP like that is the closest I'll ever get. And yeah, so yeah, shout out to Hank McCloud for that.
Yeah.
But so yeah,
I'm really bummed I didn't get to see very much of his Thor because I heard it was like
it was great.
Your paper currency is what is it like? Your flimsy paper currency is embarrassing or something like that.
Oh, he did the full vows.
Oh man,
brother.
It was amazing.
Oh god.
Yeah. That was cool. Like because we brought Loki into the art or the role playing game, and I RP Loki and he RP Thor. I was like, yeah, that's the best.
I smashed the destroyer.
Speaking of Thor, role-playing things, I'm in one of my other groups. I'm playing a hybridization of Blackwall from Inquisition with Thor and Achilles.
Oh, that makes sense.
So he's like Thor and Achilles and Blackwall.
People probably think I'm a dick for that, but I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like I say it so casually, but like in my brain, that actually makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Where you going?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Okay, so atmosphere, Bioshock, that's a genre I like to see roleplay.
My thing is, depending on how you handle it, doing some stuff with the Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, I've thought about that.
I like a folder of 1920s stuff that they recommend you can use for atmosphere that I can shoot your way.
That'd be awesome. All right, so Nolan, do you have a genre that you think you'd like to tackle with a RPG that you haven't tackled yet?
I mean, obviously Call of Cthulhu, but like we play Call of Cthulhu. So.
Like a genre.
Nolan's like if I have Nolan's like I have Cthulhu and Traveler. I don't need like anything else.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I've got everything I ever needed.
I mean, like there are ones that I'm interested in trying out more. Like Eclipse Phase was one I shot Tobias's way, and that's definitely a lot less light and humorous than Traveler can be. Like Traveler can be really serious, but Eclipse Phase is like if you've ever played System Shock, it feels like just reading through the material. It's very
it's very
body horror.
It's body horror, but it's sort of like it's very much like a a subcategory of sci-fi where Traveler starts to be the open, broad sci-fi.
Right.
So this is like the dystopian, like cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk,
thing.
Right.
And Traveler is sort of the broad sci-fi, which is what I wanted because I was like, I want somewhere in between Mass Effect and Star Trek, but maybe a little bit of more dystopian cyberpunk stuff. Yeah. And Traveler does that well.
Like Traveler's not as loose as something like GURPS, for instance.
Oh,
But Traveler, you can really tailor it to your specific sci-fi needs, whereas Eclipse Phase sort of has its.
It's like it's a one-trick pony, but it does that trick
hard-coded
very
into
well.
its DNA.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like
what about Paranoia? You've been meaning to run one of those.
Oh yeah, Paranoia. That's one I'm excited about running.
Somebody told me that Paranoia is like that GameCube game that would like adjust your TV's volume and stuff. Like, like there was like that. What game was that?
I remember that was a thing though. It would like mess with like your brightness and like sometimes just like turn it off.
Yeah.
Like how do they make games that do that?
I don't. I mean, like the fact of the matter is, basically, it's not that hard. I mean, I don't know exactly how they do it, but
Eternal Requiem or something.
Yeah, something like that.
There was like Darkness Requiem, Eternal. There were a lot of words like that in the title. I remember. Maybe we can have like a text box pop up at the bottom of the screen.
But yeah, but like somebody told me that Paranoia was like that, but a role playing.
Yeah. I mean, it's
this
more
weird,
humorous.
Yeah, the humorous thing. It's like this dystopian thing where like if you, I think they sort of assume everything you are saying is in character. So if you directly reference rules, they will get weirded out and stuff. You can't actually directly reference rules with the rule book.
As the DM,
I put a GameCube game in that, and it says GameCube game that messes with you. I'm like, yes, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Bam, 3 out of 4.
Not bad, dude.
How'd you forget Sanity?
How
did you, of all people,
hard-coded into my brain at this point?
You just assumed that you inserted that into you. You're like, it probably didn't have the word Sanity in it, but it messed. I
just filter that out. I want to say
it's the norm.
That's so funny.
Paranoia. That's sci-fi.
So if you reference rules,
if you both have played Fallout, right? It's sort of a little bit closer.
I played a little bit of
to that, where it's that tongue-in-cheek dystopia,
Where or Borderlandsy, maybe even.
Yeah, a little bit Borderlandsy, like the
not quite as humorous as that.
Oh no, totally. Like,
can be that humorous? That's awesome.
But a little more dystopian cyberpunk than what do you even call Borderlands? Like it's sci-fi, but also there's like steampunk.
It's like a sci-fi western.
Yeah, it's sort of its own genre-defying satire thing.
Yeah, because
I love it.
Yeah, it's like Mad Max and
Mad Max. That's a good descriptor. But
another thing I was thinking about running is I've been playing a lot of Darkest Dungeon, that new indie game, and it's sort of like it's on the surface it looks just like, oh yeah, these are like our regular cast of like sort of fantasy generic hero characters.
Yeah.
But it's like everything's just sort of like creepy. And so basically instead of just having hit points, you also have like a stress level. And so like it's sort of like a game that on the surface is like, oh yeah, we're all here, so we're going in the dungeon and we're killing the bad guys. But like everything you do affects your stress. And so like it's about sort of like if someone does like it's about basically like the psychological horror that is going into a dungeon and killing people.
Right.
And so like if people get stressed out enough, they'll get like they'll become paranoid or they'll become like abusive and start like hurting or yelling at their other teammates, and then they will become more stressed out, and then they can also get like permanent like phobias and like fetishes and like nervous tics and stuff like that. And so it's about like this, the slow accumulation of all of this like mental and physical damage that is brought about by like going into the dungeon and going on quests, which we think of in this sort of like romanticized like bright and glorious and shining armor.
Like you go down, you kill a mind flayer or two, you fight a gelatinous cube, but at the end of the day, you walk out fine.
Well, somebody was talking about that with the Uncharted series.
Nathan Drake, mass murderer.
Right. He's killed so many people, and you never feel that on him.
Yeah, that's something I really like seeing explored in video games. Like
I don't think Uncharted is the one to do it though. Like,
no.
Uncharted for me is just like you know,
it's like an action movie.
It's Indiana Jones.
The action serials that Indiana Jones was even based on.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I don't need I wouldn't want Indiana Jones to sit down and like contemplate all of the men that he's killed.
Well, they're Nazis. They're
oh my god, I could see
those
it
aren't
like,
people.
I could see it like him sitting there with a glass of whiskey, and then have the in the background.
Mm.
Dun, 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 dun. Like on like a high pitched piano.
No.
Ding,
Right. So like, it's supposed to be.
That'd be terrible.
Uncharted is supposed to be like this like lighthearted kind of tongue in cheek fun adventure game. So like, I don't think that's the game where we want to be exploring like the horrors of.
Yeah, but I mean that's what some people were saying, that like they were worried that especially because it was Neil Druckmann and he was coming off the Last of Us, that they were going to bring too much grittiness to Uncharted 4. But I don't know, it looks pretty good so far.
Far Cry 3 is probably the closest you can get to that sort of genre. It's a similar genre, like you got this random American adventure just kind of voyaging around this exotic locale, but then it's...
I had the ending of that game spoiled for me, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That was very good.
I think it's an imperfect exploration, but it is still interesting to see. The main character is, after a certain portion of the game, he's just having the time of his life, and then he's rescuing his friends, and his friends are just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're just killing people left and right. Like, you rescue your girlfriend at one point, you get in the truck, you're having her driving, and you're shooting with a grenade launcher. You're like, did you see that? And she's freaking out because there are men with assault rifles shooting at you.
Well, it's almost like we were talking about that movie Chronicle that we watched last night. This is a pretty interesting movie, where it's like to the point where it's like if you like one of the guys has a girlfriend and doesn't like tell her about like the powers or whatever. Yeah, Matt, he has the powers. Like we're like, where does this conversation? Like, how do you have that conversation? And I wish they had tackled that, but they didn't end up doing it.
Honey, I'm a god.
I'm an apex predator. Funny thing, you should know this about me.
The dice have determined that Tyler is Andrew, I'm Matt, you're Steve.
Yeah, that means I'm the best looking of all of you.
Yeah, you also died.
Spoilers! That came out in 2012. Sorry if you haven't seen it yet. Well, you should. If
This
you haven't
is your
seen
fault. I just saw it for the first time last night, so now I can be superior about it.
It's like I love it when people are like that. Oh, you don't watch Orange Is the New Black. You're on episode 2. Like chill, like chill with that. You just started, and like you see 2 episodes, and like you want to act like you're better than me.
Whatever, man.
You haven't seen each and every series that has come out in this golden age of television.
Oh my god! Yeah, really. Yeah. So, I think we pretty well explored that topic.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it so live.